All right, New Year's Evil, we're here. And I gotta say this before I get started. The changeover has happened. Let's make this very clear. Very clear indeed. What do we get from this moment on? We're getting a new change in NXT. We've already had 1.0 with Triple H. We had 2.0 with Vince. We now had 2.50. 2.50 with a Shawn Michaels running it without generally anyone telling him mostly what to do. Only when it's special occasions. We are now in 3.0. We are now in 3.0. This is when a Paul Levesque literally tells Shawn Michaels how to run NXT flat out, because we've already knew that NXT was going to be changed out to where it was before, the 2.5 version, running by Shawn Michaels, doing 101 booking, nothing really extensive, nothing bad. It was just standard booking, nothing incredible. I've said it myself. This is not incredible booking. This is 101 booking. But now, NXT is going to fall in line like Raw, SmackDown. It's falling in line the way Triple H wants it. Flat out. Well, I should take that back. The way Triple H wants to run it when he's ordered to run it in a certain way. Because Ari is the owner. He's going to tell Triple H, I want you to maximize as much money as possible. If you got to bring the shows into alignment so it's easier to switch the people around, do it. Unless you think otherwise and something else needs to be done, I want more money. That is what Ari wants. If you looked at my Raw review, you can tell that this is more about money than anything else. And I will talk about what I need to talk about when it comes to The Rock, because yes, Rock was there. I will tell you my thoughts about Rock and his new persona, which it's Rock. But this is what we got. Opening. We get the women's champion, Julia, versus a Roxanne Perez. Now, I thought one of two things here. One, if Julia won this, there's a very strong chance that Roxanne will be going to the main roster, because it's only a matter of time before they start switching people around. And Roxanne has been there long enough that she could and should be moved over to the main roster. Don't know which show they'll put her on, but I do believe that she is ready. And we got a great match that covers that. Did it have a few hiccups? Of course it did, but in general it was a good match. But I'm going to tell you this, knowing that the 270-day reign of Roxanne Perez being over means there's a very strong chance we will see her at the Royal Rumble. I truly believe that she will start on the main roster when Royal Rumble happens. She will go to Royal Rumble, and when they start doing the change and the reset of some, not all, but some of the talent, switching them over, she will be on either Raw or SmackDown. I truly believe that. I truly believe it. Next, the number one contenders for the North American Championship. We get Stephanie McKeer, we get Lola, we get Cora Jade, and we get a Kiani Jordan. And here's the thing, Kiani felt out of place. Yes, she was the original North American champion, but in this situation, she felt out of place. Because of how her character's been built, she felt out of place. I just felt like she didn't belong there. She needed to be something else, something different. That's the way she felt. But I gotta say this, did they do all a bad match? No, it was alright. But I'm gonna tell you this, guys. The person that looks... When you look at Cora Jade, it is obvious a couple of things have changed on her. My hands over my pecs is her titties. She has grown bigger. We know she went and got breast implants. It's obvious. But since she's got those implants, and it is obvious she got breast implants, her character, in other words, the way she perceives her character, is actually better. So it's a good possibility because of her small chest. Just my speculation. She didn't feel very secure in herself, which I don't know why she should. She didn't need to have bigger boobs. She was a beautiful woman as was. But due to the fact she got them, it seemed to boost her confidence. And you could tell from not just some of the ring work, only some, not all, but how she holds herself when she does promos. They're not perfect still, but you can tell there is a change in her confidence as she does her promos. They are much better. Not great, but better. Stephanie Vakir won. Do I believe it was the wisest thing to do? No. I believed it should have been maybe Cora Jade, since now her partner is no longer champ, and this would give a Julia someone new to deal with than a possible Stephanie McKeer. Now, I know you say, wait, this is about North American champion, this is about Fallon Henley. I know. I'm not expecting Stephanie McKeer to win the Women's North American Championship. That would not be the wisest thing. But I do believe Vakir will lose, and then you're going to see Vakir deal with a Julia. Now you're going to say that's the best way to work. No, it isn't, when there's still no character development for either one of them. That's just going to make her go there quicker than letting a Vakir have time with other women to build up a character. She can speak English. We know she can speak English. And now what happened with Shotzi, it's not enough. Now, let me go to that. 6-woman tag. We got Fatal Influence versus Shotzi, Gigi Dolan, and Tatum Paxley. Let me give you this. Is Tatum a good wrestler? Yes, she is. Is her character good? It's not bad. Then you look at Gigi, who just came back. Is she more developed? No, she's still exactly the same way she was. But at least when you see her working with Tatum, due to the fact Tatum's not doing that badly, and she's working like in a tag team with her most of the time, not all the time, but most, and either one of them could be the other manager, that's fine. And then you look at Shotzi Blackheart, the one odd woman out. Shotzi was out because of injury. She's come back. I'm going to say this. Shotzi needs to be released. I'm saying it now. I don't hate Shotzi. Look, Shotzi's a beautiful woman. Physically, she's a beautiful woman. She's an intelligent woman. She can wrestle. Does she have good ring skill? Yes. Not a bad ring skill, but a decently good ring skill. Can she talk? Yes. When she's done correctly, she can talk, but we don't see it much because they don't really spotlight her much. The only thing that's ever spotlighted is how big her tits are, whether they're natural or if they're fake. That is what you've seen the most when it came to Shotzi, particularly when she was running around in a tank. And I'm not even trying to insult her, saying that she's a sexism. I'm trying to make this sound like I'm not thinking about women's tits all the time. But let's be honest. If you watch Shotzi Blackheart, over the years when she was on NXT, at least she was mostly built all right. When she went to the main roster, they've done literally nothing with her. Nothing. And the most she had was her tank and the clothes she wore that showed her breasts more than anything. She had almost no character development. In many cases, it looked like she didn't even bother to even improve her ring work. Or, in another case, because she wasn't getting anywhere on the main roster, because she was basically spending more time in the back than getting in the ring or doing promos, she probably didn't care about making sure that she does her ring work better or fighting them to make sure they understand these are the types of moves I do. I need to do them, and if they cut them back, she needs to fight them to try and get it. That is Shotzi. And I truly believe Shotzi needs to leave the company. If they can cut her, good. If her contract is up, she doesn't resign. Unless she cares about this, she needs to leave because she doesn't look happy. Just doesn't. So for me personally, seeing that Shotzi pin Fallon Henley and then was going nose to nose with Stephanie Vakir because that's what they want to do. Stephanie is now going to be dealing with a Shotzi to see between who has the right to go up against Fallon, which I do not see Fallon losing, which makes it even more apparent that they're going to rush this to put Stephanie Vakir up against a Julia as quickly as possible. And since neither did Julia, Zara, or Stephanie Vakir get any booking that developed a character, it feels like they're just rushing them, and it sucks. Next, a rush. I can understand why, because at the end of the show. And that was the Heritage Cup with sudden death rules. Sudden death rules. Due to the fact that The Rock was going to close the show, they had to really shorten the match of the Heritage Cup. And it felt awkward. We know, even though Vic, and I gotta say this, was it good to hear Corey Graves on commentary in NXT? Yeah, counting on when he actually spoke. Because in most cases, it was Vic and Booker T was talking where I could see a Corey Graves sitting there going like this, look like he was looking at his phone and not fully engaging all the time. He was mostly just sitting there and only doing some talk once in a while. And it had to take Vic to convince him to start talking because he didn't talk much. I think when it came to the 6-woman tag, he didn't even talk much at all. And when you saw that number one contenders match, he was willing to do a little bit of talking. And the women's world championship, he was willing to talk easily, no problem. But for the rest of the show, he kept quiet. And that was like, what was the point of him being there? He could have just did his bit with the opening match and then just left. That he would just do one. He just was there most of the time. On and off, he would speak. And I felt that was not good. For me personally, I didn't like it. But let's give it to you like this. Was it a bad match? No, it was all right match between Charlie Dempsey and when you look at Lexus giving him that drop kick straight to his face when he was outside the ring, when he was holding onto the rope, and he literally, you could see his face get kicked straight and looked like he might have cut him across the eyebrow with that. That was okay. But now, because of a headbutt to the nuts, or to the solar flex. I mean, you could say either his head was in between his legs or at his stomach because he didn't bend down far enough for it to happen. I'm like, do I want to see Lexus King as Heritage Cup champion? I don't know, because it depends on what the story we're getting right now, because I don't know if they're trying to set him up to become the new prime. Look, he's been pushed to see if he can be like Brian Pillman, his father. That's what the story is supposed to be. Will he end up acting like his dad or not? The question is going to be, what does this mean with the Heritage Cup? What does this mean when you see a William Regal hold some brass knucks in his hand, wondering if he's going to do what he needs to do? I don't know. So I can't really say if this is good or not to have the Heritage Cup. I just don't know. Now, Obafemi versus Eddie Thorpe versus a Trick Williams. Now, supposedly, Eddie Thorpe gets screwed over, or basically get his ass whooped a little bit by Omafemi because of last week. And because he got nailed in the face with with something because of, with the title. Let me give it to you like this. Did I believe Thorpe was going to win? No. He was just there to be extra. This was about Omafemi, and this was about Trick Williams. And the key here is that, is Trick ready for the main roster? Guys, as far as I'm concerned, Trick is not ready yet. I don't believe he is. But will they throw him onto the main roster? They might. But I don't know if he's really ready. I don't know. He built himself so well last year. And on top of that, the year before. But is he ready for the main roster? Particularly knowing the main roster doesn't book everyone great. And I'm not saying that Triple H has been bad with the booking. But knowing full well that they do slow burns there. And Trick Williams is more of a guy who does need to have some shock go with his booking. Because that's how it's been for him. That's how he works mostly. I don't know. Now, I expected that either Trick was going to win and he'll stay on the main roster of NXT, or he's going to lose to Obafemi. And he did, due to the fact that what happened with Eddie Thorpe finally coming out after getting his butt kicked by Uba. He comes out with a chair. He gets in the ring, fights a little bit, but then he grabs a chair to try and hit Oba. But next to Oba getting nailed in the face with a trick shot, as Trick tries to do it again, he gets nailed by the chair, and Uba basically powerbombs him to death, and Uba wins. Do I believe this is the wisest thing to do? Let me give it to you like this. Uba is incredibly impressive in that ring, being as strong as he is. But is he ready for that title? I don't know. Oba's not that great on the mic. He isn't. He's not that great on the mic. It's not because he's from another country or his accent. It's not that. He just doesn't feel like he's ready. He needs more development against someone that's difficult to defeat, so we can see if he can have some type of variation, which he had none. Yes, you can say, well, what happened with the Don? That was good. That was more of a Don storyline than it was Ubafemi's storyline. That's the truth. That's how it felt. Ubafemi didn't have to rise to adversity. He didn't need to. He's going up against everyone and generally beating everybody. And now they've thrown the title on him. And this is the question. Will Ubafemi really shine as NXT title holder? Or will he show that he's just not ready yet? He needs more development. That's going to be the next question. And finally, The Rock. Now, we did get Ethan Page, The Rock, and seeing Ava with her dad wasn't great to see. Particularly, it felt cringe. And I'll explain in a moment. Let's put it like this. Seeing that The Rock was there as the final boss after what happened on Monday, that he's a good guy final boss, let me give it to you like this. Talk he had with Ethan wasn't a bad one. He said, I am the final boss because I am the executive. But if you need something like everybody else, got no problem with you. But, and this is what he told Ethan Page, I may be the final boss, but on this show, Ava's the boss, and I expect you to be good with her. Are you going to be good with her? You're not going to give her any problem, because if you got a problem with her, you got a problem with me. An overzealous daddy watching out for his daughter. That's how that felt. Now, mind you, it's understandable. There's no way to hide that's his daughter. But that's the way it felt. But what came to the cringe was, what the blue fuck was that? Asking Ava, look, I came here, wanted to do this, but I don't know what I want to say. And Ava having to say, you've done it all, you've been everywhere, but the NXT crowd is a very unique crowd. You'll know when you feel it, and then you'll say it. And he's trying to play up what she said. That felt cringe. Cringe. It felt cringe talking like that. I would have rather heard her say, Dad, let me give it to you like this. You've done it. Just be you. You know you can do you. Even if you don't know what you're going to say, just say it. Because this is you. You're final boss. You're my dad. I know you. And instead of giving a fist bump, he could have gave her a hug. And I think that would have been more effective than just giving her a fist bump, because we know that's his daughter. He said it's his daughter. And it would have been better to see a tender moment, even though as the final boss, it makes no damn sense. But actually does make sense, because that's his family. He comes out. And he starts cursing. Yes, the crowd was cheering for him. It took a couple of minutes for him to come to the ring and letting the crowd soak in this, going, the chills, as he always does. But hearing him starting to curse, and they have to bleep that shit out because it is CW, it's not Netflix. I know I mispronounced Netflix. Netflix. I'm just saying, what the blue fuck? He's cursing on CW to make it interesting, to make this mean something. And it felt lacking. It did feel lacking. I'm not going to lie. It felt lacking. Now, mind you, not all of it was lacking. It was interesting to see him interact with the fans and cursing at the fans. And they're like, really? This is different. And it was interesting. You can hear him giggling like a kid at one point as he's trying to do his stick. And Rock normally doesn't break his character normally. He doesn't. So that means kind of two things. One, The Rock trying to get people to be interested in NXT, which was more about trying to get people to do what he wants NXT to do. Because that's what was going on. It felt like this promo was trying to get people at home and the crowd there to act the way he wanted NXT to act. because that's what it feels. As an executive, he wants these people to be the way he wants them to be interactive, to be fun, to cheer or boo, so the people at home will be interested, so they give more of this. That's the way it felt. Now, was it genuine for most of what he said? Of course it was. He wouldn't be who he is without the fans. None of the people in the back can be who they are without the fans. There's no lie about that. But when you look at this situation where he comes out, starts cursing his ass off on and off, and he could see the people there getting upset, and he's going, I'm sorry, knowing that they got to bleep that shit, it's like, okay, what did we really get on this show? A taste of what Black and Silver is going to be like. Like I said, the changeover has happened. And this is no longer 2.5 NXT. This is 3.0 NXT. This is the Triple H style of NXT that's going to be more in line with the new Raw, whatever it's going to be, because it was a mess this Monday. Whatever SmackDown is going to be at 3 hours, because we still don't know how SmackDown is going to be, because they got to figure out how they're going to book SmackDown as a 3-hour show instead of Raw as a 3-hour, which, to be honest, it was a 3-hour show, Raw. I don't know if they're going to do it again this Monday on Netflix, but this was a 3-hour show that only had 4 matches, and it was all more about advertisement, bringing out huge amounts of stars than really any booking, any character development, any real great promos other than New Day, and that was Raw. But this is just me. We will see. Peace.